Hi, I'm Em.
And my name is Bea.
And this is
Fangirls Anonymous. A quick warning, this podcast is not for kids.
We get into some pretty explicit stuff.
But if you're still with us and into that, welcome.
Hello, today we are interviewing fanfiction writers Astrippus and Withercrown. Ari and Witty mainly write in the Star Wars fandoms, and these fandoms include the Bad Batch, the Clone Wars, and the Book of Boba Fett, but they mainly write in the Mandalorian fandom. Their most well-known fic, which they write together, is Clan of Four, with over 22,000 hits as of the recording of this episode. Welcome to the show again, Ari and Witty!
Thank you!
Thank you!
Thanks so much for having us back.
Yeah, of course. Bea and I really loved talking to you last week about being men in fandom. That was super interesting.
Oh, it was fun for us
really
too.
Liked it. Yes. Bea actually cannot be here today. She had some stuff to do, and that's okay. It's just Em today interviewing Ari and Witty. But hopefully I do the job justice. So, we have some questions for you. If the listener who is listening to this right now has listened to the Aston Jarin episode from the writing desk, then you will recognize these questions. We're just going to be using the same template for every single From the Writing Desk episode from now on, but I think it's still going to be interesting because it's interesting to listen to the same questions with wildly varying different answers, I think. Anyway, let's go on to the first question. What is the meaning behind your guys' pen names? I've been really wanting to ask you guys this because I think that they're really interesting pen names. But please give me the down low.
Well, I'll go first because mine is much less profound. It's basically, it's true. I know. Basically, I really love Magic the Gathering. It's one of my side obsessions when I'm not doing fandom stuff. And so when I started playing it, it was when the Call Time set came out. And there's this card called Withercrown. It's a really bad card. No one plays it, and no one will ever play it. But it is one that I really enjoyed playing. And when I first looked at it, it kind of reminded me of Darth Maul because he has this crown of horns, and it reminded me of Melkor from the Silmarillion because of his crown of Silmarils. So that connotation of bad guy, wither, it just seemed really perfect for me. But yeah, it's extremely nerdy. So that's that's Withercrown.
Makes sense.
We're
all nerds here.
Well, I was gonna say mine is also nerdy, but in a different non-Magic the Gathering related way. So Astrippus was a Greek philosopher who was the founder of one of the first Socratic schools of philosophy. So he was a student of Socrates, and his philosophy basically said that human pleasure combined with good judgment was the sort of peak of ethics in life. And he had a motto which was, "I possess, I am not possessed." And I just love that outlook specifically as it relates to creativity. So obviously for a fandom kind of pen name, this is what I do my creative writing under. This is what I do my art under. And I just thought that it really reflected the approach that I wanted to take to creativity myself. So that's why I went with it. My Tumblr handle actually had to be _Astrippus because someone else took Astrippus, and I don't think they're even using it for anything. They just have it.
Seriously, though, like the convergence of events that would have to happen for somebody else to know about that not well-known Greek philosopher and then to get the name on Tumblr.
On Tumblr.com,
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's so not fair.
I'm going to reassure myself by knowing that between the two of us, I am the more famous Astrippus.
Yes, you are. Well, maybe not. I mean, Astrippus, like the actual dude.
No, as in
more.
The other. Okay, well, I guess I'm the second most famous Astrippus.
And they're the third.
Out of the three of us, yeah.
Yeah. cool. Thank you guys. I was really wondering because Withercrown for me is just so like, I don't know, like it's so dramatic.
It's very
Yes, that's
evocative.
exactly. That's exactly what I
love
want.
I love it so much.
I am obviously a huge simp for villain characters, so yeah, that's exactly what I want.
Oh man. And Astrippus, I always thought was just something you made up. I didn't even know who that was.
No,
until
it's
now.
a real guy. I'm
Yeah.
appropriating it from him.
Borrowing.
Love
He's
it.
dead,
Cultural
so he
appropriation.
can't do anything about it.
Very cool. Okay, so next question. What ships / fandoms do you guys write about or in? And I know that I talked about a little bit of the stuff that you write about in the introduction, but go ahead and tell us a little bit more about Star Wars, I guess.
Yeah, it's all Star Wars. Yeah, I mean, I mostly write Darth Maul content. I'm obviously more well known for Din Luke just because it is a more popular pairing, but pretty much every other fic that I have that isn't Clan of Four, not all of them, but almost all of them, is going to be about Darth Maul.
I really don't know much about that character.
Yeah,
I mean, I know he has the cool face.
He does. He has a
and
very
the cool lightsaber.
Yes, he has the best lightsaber.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so when I was a kid, I really got into like episode 1, and I was absolutely obsessed with him, like completely obsessed. And then, I fell out of Star Wars because I got older. And then I found out more.
Wait, I'm sorry. The main question is, were you him for Halloween one year?
I was never him for Halloween. However, I did make a double-bladed lightsaber out of a plastic, pipe for plumbing and some electrical
like a
tape.
PVC pipe.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I made his lightsaber with a Sharpie, like a red Sharpie. So I just colored it all red. It was big. It was like lightsaber sized, and I used electrical tape in the middle, and then I taped over with clear tape on everything else so that the marker wouldn't smudge. So no, I didn't actually do him for Halloween, but what I did was probably much worse.
That is incredibly adorable.
You still have the crucial experience of being Darth Maul, and I think that's what's really important.
Exactly.
Oh. And you made the sounds too, I'm sure.
Oh yes. I was like 10, so of course.
I mean, even the actors on set can't keep themselves from making the sounds.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, obviously we had those growing up. My brother and I had those, like with the extending version.
Oh, we just got the expensive version because we went to Disney World about a month and a half ago.
Yeah, in February.
And yeah. So we got the Darksaber, and we got.
I got the Darksaber, and Witty got one half of Darth Maul's saber, and later we will get the other half. They are both outrageously cool. The Darksaber blade has that flicker to it, where you get the sort of the crackle of the white light on the outside, so it has the flicker. They both have very different voices. The sounds they make are very different. And there's obviously some sort of motion control or sensor in them. So when you swing them, they respond by making the vroom noise.
It's so cool.
Oh my god.
It's so cool.
I'm such a nerd. I love that. I
Worth
want to be you.
Every penny. They're one of the best purchases we've ever made.
They're so good.
I want the Darksaber so bad it hurts. Or Luke's.
It's heavy.
I want Luke's.
It's nice and heavy. It feels real. It doesn't feel
they're
like
made of metal, so yeah.
You guys are so lucky.
I know, right?
Yeah. I can't even say I'm not.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ari.
Yes.
Ari, what you also write in the Star Wars fandom, obviously.
So I love rare pairs. We have a little joke that I am trying to see the least kudos that I can get for the most amount of effort by writing things that no one else is interested in. So other than my work on Clan of Four, where I'm the beta reader, the editor really, and the artist, my favorite pairing to write is Armor Ahsoka, which is the armorer from The Mandalorian, and Ahsoka Tano from Clone Wars. And I've written a couple of fics for them, and including an in-progress fic that I'm working on at the moment called The Toolmaker's Arsenal. I've written, I think, one other Din Luke one-shot. I like Din Luke quite a lot as well. I was writing a Boba Din fic, but that was for Book of Boba Fett after episode 2. And the episodes after that kind of put a damper on my enthusiasm for it. But I do want to get back to it because I was really enjoying that fic. It was going to be Boba Din and the armorer with the Tusken warrior, the female Tusken warrior from the early Book of Boba Fett episodes.
Ah, nice.
And
see, I really think that people who write rare pairs, fic for rare pairs, are the unsung heroes of fanfiction.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm not just saying that because I have some rare pair writers in front of me. I really do think that because, like, without that, it would just be like 10 ships that people write about.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
And I think that a lot of the time with some of the more popular ships, it's very easy for people to get stuck into thinking about them in the same way as they've read other people writing them. And you don't get so many diverse interpretations after a while, whereas with rare pairs, there's always just, a couple people talking about them. So you kind of get a lot more diverse takes, I guess.
Yes, within a small group of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So other than Armor Ahsoka, I write some Din Luke, I write some Boba Din. I love to write female characters. I've written some Bad Batch genfic with Omega, grown-up Omega from Bad Batch. I love to write stuff with the Armorer. There's some Clone Wars ships I really like. I love Rex Walker. At the moment, all of my work for them is work in progress, but I have multiple works in progress for Rex Walker, which I'm really excited to post once I eventually do finish them.
You guys are so entrenched in the Star Wars fandom. I love it. Some people write in lots of different fandoms, but there are a lot of authors out there that only write in one.
Yeah,
I'm hearing the siren song of the new Moon Knight show. I've got to be honest with you.
Ooh, I would love to read some of your Moon Knight fic.
I have 2 works in progress that I'm still working on at the moment. They're not that close to being posted yet, but I'm really enjoying the show, and I might post a couple for that.
I need to read more fic with Oscar Isaac in it.
Yeah.
Or like an approximation of Oscar Isaac's face in it. I like his face.
It's phenomenal. Yes. It's really high quality.
His face is so pretty. Same with Pedro Pascal. Anyway, I like guys that are like weird looking, but also pretty at the same time.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. I was thinking about that earlier because I was like, people are so thirsty for Pedro Pascal, but I mean, I might get, like doxxed for this or something, but I don't think he's that attractive. I think he looks all right. He looks a bit weird.
It's his personality. It's his soul, man. It's his soul.
but I think I know what you mean, because there's the sort of the Bachelor phenomenon where you get 5 dude actors and they're all basically indistinguishable from each other. And then there's other dudes who you just immediately recognize on sight, like Pedro Pascal and Oscar Isaac and so on. And I'm more interested in the second category than the first.
100%. Like Pride and Prejudice, the 2005 film. Love that Mr. Darcy.
Absolutely.
Because he is not model hot at all.
No.
But he is still fucking hot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Next question. When did you guys start writing fic or writing in general? I know we talked a little bit about that in the last episode, but why not just reiterate it here?
I feel like, I started writing as a serious hobby probably when I was 12, I want to say. And it got me a lot of attention at school because I, like every time there was an essay or some creative project like that, I would always kind of go overboard because I just enjoyed it so much. But for fic, I think I probably was, I don't know exactly what to say, maybe 15 or 16. But honestly, I can't even remember where I started.
So, not that it's a competition, but I started writing when I was 9.
Oh my god.
And I know that because the first serious thing I can remember writing was a 3-page fan fiction for the Pokemon 2000 movie.
Aww.
That's so cute.
And I was 9 in the year 2000, so that's how I know.
Oh.
And yeah, I think I've always just loved writing little stories about the stuff that I've been into. There's too many different fandoms that, or just things that I loved that would be fandoms if I had been older and was into the fandom for that thing. But I've always been inspired by the stuff that I've been into and the shows that I've liked and the anime that I've liked and so on. And I have always liked writing for it. So yeah, age 9 is the earliest fic that I wrote.
Wow.
Damn. That's really young.
I didn't even
That's
post it
probably
anywhere.
gonna be the youngest.
Well,
I mean, it was 2000.
Yeah, I printed
Where would
it
you have
out.
posted it?
I printed it out and I showed it to my dad. That's the audience that I had.
That is so sweet. I love that so much. Did your dad like it?
Yeah, he did. He was
Aw.
very encouraging. I mean, I think by
3
that
whole
time
pages.
he was kind of resigned to how much I loved Pokemon at that age. So I think he was happy to see me kind of channeling that energy into something really creative rather than just
Real talk, though. Real talk. What was your favorite Pokemon?
It was Raichu from the original 150.
Oh,
My favorite was
nice.
Raichu.
Yeah.
I just thought that Raichu looked so neat, and I had Raichu in my party when I first beat the Elite Four, as far as I recall. I'm pretty sure I did anyway. And yeah, no, I just loved
Yeah.
Raichu. I have a very vivid memory of that original kind of 1998 watercolor art for the original 150 Pokemon. And Raichu just had this really pleasing kind of round shape, much rounder than Pikachu.
Definitely. I was never into Pokemon as growing up. My brother was, but I wasn't. But I just happened to know all of the words to the theme song of the TV show. I want to be the very best that no one ever was. Oh man, it was really
It's
fun
fire.
seeing that.
It's fire.
It is. It's
really
pure
good.
fire. That theme song. It's so good. Also the Cheers theme song.
Yeah, that one
Such
is
a good
also
song.
really good and very nostalgic.
Yeah, and the My Little Pony.
That one I didn't
My
know.
Little Pony, My Little Pony. Okay, so I love that though. That is so sweet. It was 3 whole pages though, really?
Yeah, 3 whole
3
pages.
whole pages. That's
Oh,
really
man.
good for a
I
9-year-old that isn't homework.
As I recall, I don't think there were any paragraph breaks.
Oh
And
no.
I'm really proud of my dad for reading the whole thing.
Oh, father of the year right there. Okay, so how did you start writing in, I guess, the fandoms or the fandom that you are writing in now? Maybe we have just circled around that answer, but
So we basically got into it because we got into the Mandalorian like everybody else did. And but we were kind of latecomers to the show. We didn't really follow it through season 1. And we got into it about halfway through season 2, so we sort of caught up with everything and then watched the last few episodes as they came out. And that sort of reminded us about other Star Wars things that we had always liked. We've always liked the original trilogy. We were never into the fandom for it, but it's just something that we have kind of shared with each other. And the first thing that we wrote was actually a collaborative fic that was Darth Fett. It was Darth Vader and Boba Fett. And it was almost 500,000 words long because I was furloughed over that Christmas, so we had nothing to do but sit on the couch and write.
oh my god.
So we wrote this huge thing, and then it was like, oh, well, we're writing and we're being so prolific and we're collaborating so well, so maybe it would be fun to collaborate on some other things and write some other things. And it just kind of snowballed from there. And then it was like, well, we hadn't been in fandom for a while, but it sort of seemed like fun to post some fics and kind of get back into it again. And yeah, that's kind of what got us started off.
Was that your first time ever writing a fic together?
Together, yes.
Yeah, I believe so.
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought that you guys had been writing fic for a really long time together.
Well, I mean, we've been writing Fick concurrently. And obviously, when you're
In the
both
same room.
writers, yeah,
Yeah.
with our headphones in, when you're both writers, you kind of bounce ideas off of each other. So maybe there's not a super sharp line between what counts as a collaboration and what doesn't. But in
Yeah.
terms of both of us actively writing stuff that goes into the same finished document, yeah, that was the first time.
Wow. And then you post it like immediately. What's it called again?
Oh well, we didn't know, so we didn't post the Darth Vet one because
Oh, you didn't.
editing 500,000 words just was
Oh God.
it was prohibitive.
yeah. That's gonna. We will
Yeah.
post it. I have actually started working on it.
Wow. Okay. Maybe we should talk a little bit about Clan of Four. So it has a lot of hits. It really Din Luke is really popular. I mean, it was one of the first. I think it was the first like pairing that we really specifically talked about on this podcast, which is kind of fun. But I've read the first couple of chapters of Clan of Four. I'm sorry, I haven't read all of it yet, but it's really good. I really like it so far.
Oh, thank you so much.
And I found this quote that I really enjoyed. This little paragraph that I really enjoyed in the first episode. The Mandalorian Din Djarin left the trading outpost at dusk and walked toward his docked starship alone. His bright armor reflected the sunset. His helmet's visor filtered the low-cast sunbeams. It still felt strange to be alone. He had worked alone most of his life, yet now his solitude felt incomplete, a void that should have been filled but wasn't. The cockpit of his starship felt silent when it had once been peaceful, the co-pilot's seat mournfully empty. Ooh! Poor Din.
Din has a tough time.
He does. He goes through it, man.
He goes through it.
Oh, I really, really like him, though. I mean, obviously, he's one of the best characters of all time, but I really liked that paragraph because I don't know, you just set it up so completely. Like, of course, he needs to have Rey in his life. This little kid, in his life. So that's what Clan of Four is about, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe for some kind of a brief summary
Context.
of what what Clan of Four is.
Yeah.
Clan of Four is essentially, well, it starts off as being where Din finds Rey as a child on Jakku and adopts her. And then as the fic progresses, he meets up again with Luke and Grogu, who have become very close. We came up with the whole premise of it long before Book of Boba Fett, so it doesn't in any way follow what happens in Book of Boba Fett, which I don't personally regret. And
Oh yeah, don't regret that.
but it's sort of quite fundamentally about what it means to be Mandalorian and to become Mandalorian. It's got quite a large ensemble cast. There's a few things in it that have been really fun for me to, kind of read what Witty has written and to be able to, kind of edit it and add some stuff of my own. The Darksaber is a sentient character in this. It's
really?
Yeah, there's a trope of haunted Darksaber, which this isn't. It's very specifically sentient Darksaber. And I don't know if do you know a sci-fi author called Neil Stephenson? He
I've
wrote
heard of that
Snow
name.
Crash. He wrote wow, totally drawing a blank. He's written a really famous one I've just forgotten the name of. But he wrote this book called The Diamond Age, in which the main character is a child, and she has this sort of highly interactive artificial intelligence educational manual almost. And I loved that concept as a science fiction concept, and I thought how much fun it would be for Clan of Four to have a sort of similar child-centric focus to it. And for a lot of the kind of understanding about what it means to be a Mandalorian to be discovered via Rey. And so the Darksaber also acts as a sort of friend and a guide to her, as well as the other people in her clan, like Din and, Boba's there and Fennec's there and so on. So we're sort of building up these relationships, and we're going from this child who is completely alone and abandoned on Jakku to discovering what it means to be loved and to love others and to have a place in a wider culture through her adoption by Din as her father.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first couple chapters, they're kind of short, but they're really interesting to read. And I don't know, it's just I really love the concept of Rey not having to be there until she's like in her early 20s. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I really love the concept of her being okay. You know, I
Yeah,
want her to be okay.
I know, right?
And I
Well, I
also
mean,
want Din to be okay too.
mm, mm, mm. Well,
Yeah.
and Witty and I, maybe Witty wants to qualify this as well, but like Witty and I are, I think we mentioned in the last episode as well, we're looking forward to adopting in the near future.
Yeah.
And children and, how to be a parent is stuff that's quite, close to our hearts, and it's also sort of at the forefront of our minds at the moment. And there's something that I notice in a lot of fic that has Grogu in it, for example, where he's just kind of the baby, and he can become a bit of an accessory sometimes.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to explore the idea that Grogu would actually not develop, Grogu and Luke have a lot to share with each other. And I think they both have this sense of kind of displacement to them. And I think a lot of, being a parent isn't just about telling your kid how to live. I think you learn a lot about yourself through your children when you become a parent. And I really wanted to show that with Din and Luke through Rey and Grogu as their kids, rather than just the kind of slightly more objectified, oh, it's a cute baby, which, I mean, they've made a lot of money on Baby Yoda being a cute baby. So that goes a long
Yes.
way.
I have
But
a Build-A-Bear Baby Yoda, so
I am
definitely.
very
Yeah.
jealous. I
Yeah,
love
we
Build-A-Bear.
have our merch.
We have plenty of merch. And, that's great.
Uh,
But I think for the purposes of, especially a written story, which is a different kind of media to its television show, that's definitely something that we wanted to show. So it's very much Din Luke, but it's also, I like to think that we give the kids the spotlight in a big way.
It is more, I feel like the pairing is there, but it's not really the focus or the point of the story. So the tension and everything, of course, people are going to be looking for that. But the experience of the story really should be coming mostly from Rey. I also, like, a big reason I wanted to write the story was just there were a lot of fics where Din and Luke were kind of parenting Grogu, but Luke very often started to feel like the step parent. Like he wasn't quite bonding with Grogu in the way that Din does, because obviously you have all the context of the show. So what we really started the fic off with is having Luke separate to Din, developing his own relationship with Grogu, that was equal to Grogu's relationship with Din, just to add, a bit more variety and not make an adopted child feel like, one parent is secondary to the other, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
I
man.
mean, Luke adopts Grogu fairly early on in the fic.
I just think I really love the idea. I love the concept of that fic, and I love that you guys are trying to talk about a lot varying stuff that I find that a lot of people maybe aren't consciously trying to write about in their Din Luke fic.
Which, I mean, what do you mean by that?
I don't know. You guys are talking about like the kind of relationships between adoptee kids and parents who are adopting these kids, right? And like the relationship. Well, first of all, you just don't see a lot of Din finding Rey when she's little and adopting her, right? You don't see that a lot,
Right.
but having the concept, like really talking about how Luke feels about the relationship between Grogu and Din versus his relationship with Grogu, and then fixing it kind of maybe a little bit. I like that.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, and I
Yeah.
mean, I think people have differing opinions on this, but to us, watching the show in the middle of gearing up to begin the adoption process, to
Yeah,
me,
right?
it felt very much like Din's role in the show was one of being a foster parent.
Yes.
And
Yes. It's very natural for you guys to want to talk about it right now.
absolutely, yeah. But I mean, it's completely, it's the show, the whole concept of a foundling is like, if you describe that to us right now, and it's like, oh yeah, we've been reading books about this. So
Yeah.
Yep.
it's like seeing Din taking care of Grogu and protecting him and so on, while looking for his forever family, which really actually is the plot of the whole last 2 seasons of The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
It's like, an adoptive parent and a foster parent are not the same thing at all. And
No.
I think it's interesting because when a foster parent ends up adopting the child that they were fostering, it's called a failed foster, because the whole point of a foster parent is that it's just supposed to be a foster and not the adoptive family. And
Wow.
it's an incredibly important relationship, but it is a different one with a different mindset to it, and so on. So
Yeah.
I think the thing that I have found really enjoyable is, the Fick picks up from the end of The Mandalorian season 2, where Grogu goes with Luke. And rather than immediately reversing that decision, we sort of thought, well, no, we're going to commit to that. So Grogu is with Luke now, and Luke is, the show has set Luke up to be he's the Jedi, he's the forever family that they were searching for. So we're going to give Grogu that. So Luke adopts Grogu. Din finds Rey, and the thing that Din is equipped to do is to raise a Mandalorian child, because that's his whole understanding. That's what his experience was as a Mandalorian foundling himself. And then from that point, we start to build the friendship and then the romance between Din and Luke.
Isn't the best thing about Mandalorians their concept of foundlings? Like,
Yes,
that's just one thing that
it's so wonderful.
my whole heart loves it so much from that show. It just
Absolutely.
makes me kind of want to cry a little bit. I just love it so much.
Absolutely.
It's so entrenched in, a lot of the legends
Yeah.
material about Mandalorians.
Oh, yeah.
Their kind of respect for children and their protectiveness being almost a divine relationship.
Yes.
Definitely.
It's absolutely
Well, I mean,
fantastic.
it's a core tenet of their religion,
It's like the core tenet of who they are. Like, it's not even a religion. It's like the number one thing in their value system.
Well, I mean, exactly. I mean, that's essentially what I mean. I think,
Yeah.
I mean, Alit clan or family and Bajur, the education of children and foundlings, are two
Yeah.
out of the 6 things that you have to do to be Mandalorian. That's 1/3
It's
of the
true.
whole culture.
Yeah.
It's so true. Oh man. I'm sure we'll talk about Clan of Four later on in this episode too, but I kind of wanted to get into a little some of these other questions with you.
Yeah, sure.
So what is your guys' favorite trope to write, and then what is your least favorite trope to write?
Witty, you go first.
Oh man. Okay. I have a strong passion for redemption arcs.
Cool.
But I think the thing is I'm very picky. I'm so picky with redemption arcs because I really don't like redemption arcs that have a savior in it, and so far that there's like a bad guy and then a good guy comes and like, it takes pity on them or something and then just like fixes them. I really love redemption arcs that come from the values of the villain changing.
Yeah, definitely.
And it is kind of a self-generated thing that is like, I think with Darth Vader it works. I think it works because, I think his relationship with Luke was Vader was so far gone in terms of just even being human that Luke being able to kind of remind him of his humanity was kind of necessary for his redemption. But I think lots of people love this romantic, kind of a hero comes and kind of fixes the bad guy in some way by being so good. And you can see that with a lot of fics involving Jedi being, so yeah, redemption arcs are my favorite. And least favorite, I mean, I just don't write my least favorite tropes. So
maybe like, what's your least favorite trope just in general? Not to write or anything. But like...
Oh goodness, what are my least favorite tropes? That's a really difficult one. I think that
it can be incredibly specific too. Like,
it can be incredibly
yeah.
specific. Yeah, I'm not a soulmates AU person. I've seen that be quite popular, and it's just never struck a chord with me.
You and
Maybe
Bea
it's
are
just
in the
my
same
own
boat on that one. She hates soulmates stuff.
Yeah, maybe it's just me because I have such a grounded version of reality. I don't like the kind of yeah. It's very, Very
You're a
good.
very
Yeah.
practical man, and I love that so much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Heather.
Okay, I'm not very good at knowing what tropes are. I think
Ah.
maybe my answer to that, I think memory loss is one that I really enjoy writing.
Yes. So good.
I think, much like Witty, I'm very picky about the execution. I'm really fascinated by loss in general, I think, as a concept in literature. And that can be personal loss, it can be loss over time, it can be loss through displacement, but this is an idea that in general I really like to explore in my writing. I think memory loss and amnesia in particular is definitely a top trope for me. It's quite a core part of the fic that I'm working on solo at the moment, which is the Toolmaker's Arsenal, which is my Armor Soka multi-chapter fic, and that has memory loss as a kind of very central part of the plot. But yeah, I know there are a lot of people with a very encyclopedic knowledge of tropes, and I'm not one of those people, so there's probably a lot of tropes in my writing that are very easily identifiable that I don't know how to identify.
That's okay. Tropes are such like a it's so specifically TV and fandom oriented, you know?
Definitely.
So it's like a lot of people don't know about them. Like one of my favorite tropes is audible sharpness. So if somebody just has a knife in their hand and it sounds sharp in like the movie or the TV show, that's a
Oh,
trope.
yeah, right. I know exactly what you're talking
Because
about.
it's ridiculous.
Audible
Like
sharpness,
when
I love that.
when you wave like a thing and it's like
Yeah, it sort of goes
you know, that kind of
shring.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not what a knife sounds like in the air, you know.
But it's sort of what it feels like. No, I know I know
Yeah,
just what you mean.
exactly.
I mean, I watch very little television, but I do watch quite a lot of film.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and that audible sharpness happens all the time in film.
Oh
But,
yeah, it's so satisfying.
Bea and I actually have an episode about our favorite and least favorite tropes. If you wanted to go listen to
Oh,
that,
that's so
it's
cool.
pretty
Yes.
funny.
Yeah. I would love to.
My
Yeah,
favorite
and you
trope
said
of all time is hurt comfort.
that's your favorite or your least favorite?
Oh, I love hurt comfort. I'm a
You
whore
love
for
it.
hurt comfort. Like I have said, I'm a whore for hurt comfort probably 10 times throughout the podcast. It's just, I am. I'm such a whore. Sorry, what were you saying? I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's fine. You also wanted me to answer what my least favorite is, right?
Yes, please. Yes, please. If you have one. It's okay if you don't have one.
Well, I mean, I have so many that I dislike. Okay, I think one that I see crop up very often in almost every fandom, and I have just never understood the appeal of it, like it's just never spoken to me, is mermaids. I don't understand mermaid AUs. And I feel like the only one who doesn't get them, and everyone else is having a great time but me. And I just don't understand. I don't understand. And that's fine. It's fine. It's fine that other people do.
What even is a mermaid?
How have you not come across this?
I
don't even want to read mermaid tropes, and I see it every year.
I really don't. I guess I don't read a lot of mermaid fanfiction, but
I don't read any.
Neither do we.
I don't read any mermaid fanfiction. You'll see it everywhere. Yeah.
Now I will.
You'll see it everywhere now.
That's true. Now I will. I've only read a couple of mermaid fanfictions actually. Only from Supernatural fandom, and you know that fish rights person on AO3 that has like 400,000 word fics like every year. I don't know how they do it.
Oh my god.
I think is it fish rights or some? It's the word fish is in their name on AO3. I can't remember. And then I've read a Clance one, but one was Keith was a bird person and Lance was a mermaid. And then I've read a Stucky one. Are these any fandoms that you guys have been interested in at all?
Oh, mostly
Marvel is. I've never been in Supernatural.
Yes.
I know about Clance. I've heard of that before.
I'm surprised you've never been in Supernatural. I'm actually surprised.
Why? Do I give off Supernatural fandom energy?
No, you don't. But I feel like if you're in fandom at all, somehow you know just something about Supernatural. Like
I feel like everything I know about Supernatural is just like
against your will.
things I've absorbed. Yeah, I mean,
it is against my will, yeah.
But a Supernatural. Okay, maybe this is a kind of like, maybe this is just me, but I already watched Buffy, and I'm not really interested in watching another Buffy.
Yeah. Jensen Ackles in 2005 or 2005. If you want to watch him in 2005 as a very pretty young man, watch the first season of Supernatural because it's kind of scary. The first season of Supernatural is actually kind of scary, and he's just so pretty. He's so nice looking. He is. He's so pretty in that show.
So I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that I guess Jensen Ackles is somebody who was an actor in the Supernatural show.
Oh, sorry. He was the main character essentially.
Okay.
He's Dean from Supernatural.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes, I know of this Dean.
This Dean.
Yes.
The problem with the show is it isn't until I think season 4 that Castiel comes in. So you have to go through all of the bullshit of 4 seasons before you can even get to the angel guy, who's the best character of the show.
Okay. So I think in a way, part of the reason that I've never watched Supernatural is because I've encountered it on Tumblr first.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things a bit like Homestuck, where I've seen the fandom.
I don't know anything about that.
I don't know anything about it either, right? But that's
I don't
okay.
want to know anything about it.
Well, that's the thing. I don't want to know anything about it either. I've seen what the fandom is like first, and it has only made me wary.
Yeah.
Whereas I think for a lot of people who are in the fandom, it's like they watched the show first, so they love whatever's going on in that. And then they have that to fall back on when they go into the wider fandom. For me, it's the other way around.
Yeah, I started watching the show first, and then I got into Fick.
Yeah, right. I think that's the way to do it.
The first Fick I ever read was Twist and Shout. That's a famous Fick. We've talked about it in our show before.
Is it a
famous Fick? It is Supernatural. Yes, it's Destiel, and it's set in the 60s. Or no. Yeah, it's set in the 60s, and it's long, and it's incredibly well known amongst fan fiction people, even if you're not into Supernatural. I don't know, it's just one of those famous, like, crazy fics.
Well, I mean, much like Mermaid, I'll probably see references to it everywhere now that you mentioned it.
Now you will. Yes, exactly.
But yeah, anyway, so.
But I think that I think there is kind of a slight generational thing. Again, we're a little bit older.
That's true.
So a lot of the interests that became very popular in Tumblr, like I tried to watch Voltron, but I couldn't get into it. And it's like I could see that would have been something I would have liked a lot more when I was a bit younger.
Yeah, I was 19,
and I probably
when it came out, so I was kind of a good age.
That would be like the perfect age. But it is definitely something where I can kind of see that some of the interests are kind of like late teens, early 20s. And so I definitely I never vibed with the crowd, and I never really felt motivated. Like it's even the same. I watched Sherlock and kind of felt nothing for it.
Same.
But I could have gotten into it when I was young.
Yeah.
But,
so,
have you guys vibed with like Good Omens, for example?
Never seen it.
Oh man,
I haven't
missing out.
Well, that's the thing. I have never felt that compelled to seek it out.
You should.
I should.
Because,
I should seek it out, or I should feel compelled. Is this a deep character flaw? That
I mean both. I really think you guys need to watch it. It's on Amazon, which kind of sucks, but like really, really high recommend to go watch that, because it's it's canon queer relationship between an angel and a demon in the show, and it's Neil Gaiman, who's my favorite author of all time, and like I don't know, it's hilarious, and the fic is so fucking good. Oh my god! And it's two actors who are in their 40s, so it's not like Clance where you're dealing with high school students, right? It's really not.
Yeah,
and
I know what you mean.
I don't know. Bea and I actually had a conversation about this, about how as we're getting older, we enjoy more fic between like middle-aged people now?
Absolutely. That's definitely something that I've noticed with me and with Witty.
Yeah.
Oh, I cannot ship youngsters
Yeah,
anymore.
It's
it was
rough.
really
It's
easy
rough.
when
And it's
you are like
impossible.
18, 19, 20 and you still kind of like you haven't quite let go of the identity of being 16 and 17 yet, and you don't quite
Yeah.
feel equipped for, you're like, what, my 20s this year? How can it be? But once you're into your 30s and you're like 18, like, no, baby, this is a child.
Yeah, I honestly, my favorite pairing is Darth Maul and Obi-Wan, but my favorite age for them to write them together is in their 50s. It's not, or 60s actually. So it's definitely for me, the older I get, the more I just, of course, identify.
I'm the same. I love sad old men. They're just so compelling.
Literally though, sad old men are fun and sad.
I will say, at least with Good Omens, that one has been on my radar
Please.
as something to watch, whereas I feel like Supernatural is on my, well, the opposite.
Yeah, it's off your radar.
Oh my god.
I mean, okay, to be
it is.
to be fair, I also have a more of an issue than Witty does with hyperfixation. So it's like, at the moment, I like Star Wars, and I'm aware that other things exist, and that's great and good for them. But Star Wars,
Yeah, and you don't have to hyperfixate on it, but like seriously though, like just do yourself a favor and watch this show because like it makes you really happy. It made me really happy, and I'm sure it'll make you guys happy. We have similar tastes.
No, and I've been watching the the new Tumblr craze. I've been watching the pirate show.
Oh my
like
god!
everyone else.
Oh my god!
That one was really good. I will never create for it, but I really enjoyed that I understand what's happening on Tumblr.
Man, we are getting old when you have to start saying things like that. Oh, I'm relieved.
Yes,
I understand what's going on.
Yes.
Ace and I are actually going to do a fic for Our Flag Means Death Sign.
Oh, that's so exciting!
Yeah, first time I've ever been in a Sign. What's a fic that you've always wanted to write but haven't yet?
Okay. There's kind of a fic that I've been working on and off that I really do want to sit down and do that no one will read. It is basically it's Thrawn and Anakin, which is a pairing I really, really like. But Thrawn and kind of the Chiss for me have this very Russian aesthetic. So I want to write it in the style of like Russian romantic era literature.
Wow.
So it's definitely 100% just for me. It will be extremely weird, but I'm so into the idea that I've already commissioned art for it, even though I haven't actually written very much of it.
Well, Witty's a Russian history major, and he and I both love Slavic romantic literature. So I'm also very excited for this.
You are not the only person that wants that in their life. Like, you say that it's weird, but like, pick a random person on the street and they'll think everything we're talking about in this episode is weird. Like, it
Very
has to
true.
do with
Very true.
who's listening, right?
Yeah, no, I have such a deep love of Russian literature because when you read it, it's so poetic and so interesting, but it's so different. It's so completely different than anything that you'll find in Western literature.
My mother loved Anna Karenina.
Yes, Anna Karenina is an incredible story. And Fathers and Sons is probably my favorite, but a little bit quicker than Anna Karenina.
There's a
little bit more brevity.
There's a great one as well by an author called Gogol called Dead Souls, and it's very that for me really captured this kind of tongue-in-cheek, almost like gallows humor that I think is a real hallmark of romantic Russian literature, which I also think is perfect for a ship like Thrawn and Anakin, because all of their interactions with each other are funny, but in a very tongue-in-cheek way.
No, seriously, that sounds amazing, and you need to write it, and I really want to see that commissioned work. commissioned artwork.
Yeah, I'm so excited
That's
for
so
it.
cool.
It will be done. I've been promising this to everyone for probably half a year now.
I mean,
so
if you want to do it, do
will
it. But if you don't, I mean, that's okay. But it's just cool to hear about it, you know?
No, I think it's one of those things that I when I do it, it needs to be perfect,
Mm.
and I really need to sit down and focus on only that for a little while. So
Okay, so next question. What is your favorite part about being a fic writer, and what is your least favorite part?
yeah, what is my least favorite part? I think, oh God, what is my least favorite part? I really like doing fanfic. I think sometimes you can get comments that are a bit, missing the point or just a bit rude. Sometimes your feedback will just not be that nice, but honestly, there isn't much I don't like.
That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't do it otherwise, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's a hobby, So
What about you, Ari?
I think writing has been a part of my life for so long that there's kind of a part of my brain that is just always thinking about ideas in terms of how they can work in a literary context. And I think writing really helps me develop a sort of aesthetic sense that I don't think I could do really with any other medium. And I mean, I draw as well, but it's a completely different experience. And I don't think that there's anything else that I could do that would fulfill me in that way. So I think that's definitely the thing that kind of compels me to keep writing. I also I love making friends through writing. I think I
Yeah.
met some of the most interesting and smartest people that I could ever hope to meet through us being writers and kind of sharing a passion for writing fic. And yeah, that's absolutely that's so enjoyable for me.
Man,
Least
those are some really good answers.
least favorite. I don't know if there's much that I don't enjoy about it really. Yeah, no, so I don't
Yeah.
think I have an answer for least favorite.
Every author I've asked that question to always has such a wonderful, eloquent answer, and I just really like that. Um, so, what is your favorite fic of all time that isn't your own?
Oh, my favorite fic of all time. I actually recommended it last time, so I feel like I'm
Oh, go ahead, it's
repeating
fine.
myself.
It's a double rec, which means it's
Yeah.
really uber wrecked, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's one by Mandalorian. She and I met because one of my favorite pairings is Darth Fett. So it's Darth Vader and Boba Fett. And the fic that we really bonded over when I first met her was called The Ideal at Your Mercy. And it's actually part of a larger series. She's written, I think, 4 parts to it now that are mostly just pre-slash. She doesn't really get to the actual slash part. So it's kind of Vader and Boba flirting with the idea of maybe caring about each other a bit. And she writes them really in character. And I think I've reread them so many times because, especially in the last part, which is the one I just recommended, I feel like she had this moment with Vader where she really captured how intimidating he can be as a character. And I just felt like she executed it so well, which is really challenging to do. So very, very high recommendation for pretty much anything that Mandalorian's written, but definitely her Darth Fett.
And what about you, Ari?
Other than my amazing husband's writing, which we've all heard enough about for today, I think my favorite fic of all time is a fic called The Wanderer and the Seer, and it's by Kevistel, or I think they go by Aiden on Archive of Our Own. This is this is also the same author that I read last time, but it's not the same fic, and this is it's a Dinluke fic. In my opinion, it is the Dinluke fic. The author is a medievalist, and boy, does it show in their writing. It is
Cool.
the most fantastically, historically rich, subtle, well-informed piece of writing. The relationship between Din and Luke is developed so well, and the kind of maturity of their affection for each other is so authentic. And also the way that they treat some other characters in it that I love, like the armorer, is again, it's kind of done with such respect for all of the characters, and it's also done from a position of being really well informed in that kind of nomadic diasporic culture. I'm just absolutely in love with this fic, and I think it's if any fic is the required reading for Din Luke, I think it's got to be this one.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I just wrote down that I really need to read that.
It's really cannot recommend it highly
Yeah.
enough. It's not that long either. I think it's only about 16 chapters.
Oh, nice. 16 is my lucky.
About 100K.
Well, that's not that long.
That is not that long.
No, for a fic that is actually
I
pretty
read so
modest.
much long fic. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that we are done with the interview. Thank you guys
Awesome.
this has been super fun talking to you guys about how you write and what makes you tick a little bit. Clan of 4 will be in the show notes, and speaking of what's going to be in the show notes as well, we're still doing Fic Club. If you want to be part of it, just go ahead and read Play It Again by Metisket, which will be in the show notes, and then send an email to mandbepresents@gmail.com. We also have a Patreon, so if you want to support us, you can. If you don't want to support us, you don't have to. So that's also a thing. Anyway, thank you guys again. This was so fun to talk to you. I really love this series because you really get to know a lot more about kind of the process that it takes to write fic and what it's like in the minds of a fic writer as opposed to just reading their finished work, you know?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, the process is, 99% of it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Oh my god, Em, well, thank you so much. This was really fun.
Absolutely, and we will be seeing you guys in season 3 most likely.
Can't wait. Awesome.
Yeah,
high praise. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah.
I think we're done. I have to do both B and I's thing that we do at the end of the episode. We'll see you all next time on Fangirls Anonymous. Bye!